Jordan City was glowing peacefully under the November sky, its ancient stone streets lit by soft yellow lamps. Cafes on Rainbow Street were still alive with conversations, families strolled after dinner, and the call to prayer echoed gently between old buildings. It felt like an ordinary, calm night, the kind of night where nothing bad should happen. But fate had chosen that night to open the gates of horror. A strange light in the sky. It began around 9 p.m. A bright red streak appeared across the sky, burning through the darkness like a sword of fire. Then another, and another. People stepped onto their balconies, pointing their phones upward. "Subhanallah, what is that?" an old man whispered. Tourists gathered near the Roman amphitheatre, amazed, taking pictures. Children laughed, thinking it was some kind of magical fireworks show. But in a hidden laboratory deep under the Jordan City Biological Research Center, Dr. Karim al-Nasser stared at the same sky with dread forming in his stomach. "That's not a meteor shower," he said. His assistant looked confused. "But the news. The news doesn't know what we detected last week." Karim interrupted, adjusting the readings on his monitor. The devices were picking up radiation levels far beyond normal cosmic activity. "Something's entering our atmosphere," he whispered, "and it's not from Earth." Impact zone. Disaster begins. Minutes later, the first explosion shook the ground. Far outside the city, near the rocky outskirts, a fiery object crashed into the desert with a thunderous boom. A mushroom of dust and smoke rose into the sky. Sirens blared across the city. Police vehicles sped toward the scene. Emergency alerts flashed on every mobile phone. "Do not approach the impact sites. Stay indoors. Quarantine possible. Authorities investigating unknown biological material." The city's excitement instantly turned into panic. Shops shut down their metal shutters. Cars jammed the roads. People pushed through streets trying to reach their homes. And as if on cue, the power went out. Jordan City fell into complete darkness. Meet Faris and Lena. On Rainbow Street, 22-year-old filmmaker Faris and his best friend Lena, a nursing student, were sitting in a cafe when the blackout happened. "What the?" Faris stood up as the lights flickered off. Lena grabbed her bag. "Faris, this is not normal." They stepped outside. The entire neighborhood was dark except for headlights of rushing cars and the glow of burning impact zones in the far distance. People were panicking, running in every direction. Faris began recording with his camera out of habit. "Faris, stop filming and start thinking," Lena snapped. Before he could answer, a blood-curdling scream cut through the air. The first creature appears. A man stumbled from a side alley. His clothes were torn. His skin appeared burnt. His eyes, glassy and dead-looking, stared straight at them. Lena, being a medical student, rushed forward. "Sir, are you hurt? Sir, can you hear me?" The man tilted his head slowly. Then he opened his mouth. A deep, animal-like growl came out. Before Lena could react, the man lunged at her with shocking speed. Faris grabbed her arm and yanked her backward. The creature fell to the ground but immediately crawled toward them on all fours like a wild animal. "What is that?" Faris shouted. The creature's jaw was missing skin. Black veins spread across its neck, pulsing like something alive beneath the flesh. More screams filled the night, and more creatures staggered out from the alleyways. Some were limping, some sprinting, all of them glowing faintly with a strange dark red burn on their skin, the same color as the meteor fragments. Lena's voice shook. "Faris, these people, they're not sick. They're not normal." "No," Faris whispered, "they're monsters." The streets collapsed into chaos. Everywhere they looked, people were screaming, running, hiding. Cars crashed into poles. Windows shattered. More creatures appeared, attacking anything moving. One jumped onto the hood of a passing car, smashing the windshield and dragging the driver out. Another tackled a security guard near a closed shop, biting into his neck as blood sprayed across the doorstep. Faris and Lena sprinted down the narrow stone streets. Behind them, the creatures shrieked, a sharp, unnatural sound that echoed like a distorted human voice. They ducked into a small grocery store. Faris slammed the metal shutter down. Lena locked it from inside with trembling hands. Both were panting heavily. "What's happening?" Lena cried. I don't know," Faris said, shaking. He peeked through the shutter. The street outside looked like a war zone. Fires, overturned cars, bodies, and the creatures kept multiplying. The start of infection. Inside the store, Lena switched on her phone flashlight and examined a spilled bottle of milk on the floor. The milk was bubbling. "What the hell?" she whispered. The blackout wasn't just power failure. Something was affecting electronics, liquids, even the air. The temperature inside the store felt strangely warm, like the atmosphere itself had changed. Suddenly, something hit the shutter from outside. Bam! Bam, bam, bam! The metal bent slightly. Faris grabbed Lena and dragged her toward the back door. "We need to go, now!" They burst out into the alley and ran again. Behind them, the shutter finally broke open as 3 infected creatures crawled in. The first encounter with the military. As they reached a crossroads, bright headlights blinded them. A military truck screeched to a stop. Soldiers jumped out. "You two, get over here," one shouted, waving them toward safety. Faris and Lena ran toward the truck. "What are those things?" Faris yelled. The soldier's face was tight with fear. "Not human, and not dead either. Get in." Inside the truck were several civilians. An old couple, 2 teenagers, a crying child, and a middle-aged woman holding her bleeding arm. The truck roared forward through destroyed streets. Through the back window, Faris watched the nightmare unfold. Zombies, or whatever they were, swarmed cars, climbed balconies, smashed through doors. Jordan City was falling minute by minute. Lena grabbed Faris's hand tightly. "We need to find my father," she whispered with fear shaking her voice. "He was on duty at East Amman Hospital." Faris nodded. "We'll find him, I promise." The soldier overheard. "That area's already overrun," he said quietly, "but we'll drop you as close as possible." Faris and Lena looked at each other. The night everything changed had only just begun. The military truck roared through the burning streets of Jordan City, bouncing violently as it ran over debris. Smoke rose from broken buildings, flames raged inside abandoned homes, and infected creatures sprinted through intersections like wild animals hunting their prey. Faris, Lena, and the other civilians huddled tightly in the back of the truck. Every explosion made the child cry harder. Every distant scream tightened their throats. Lena kept staring at the city she'd always known, now unrecognizable. "Faris, this can't be real," she whispered. Faris didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the destruction outside, but his mind was frozen in terror. Approaching the hospital. After 20 minutes, the soldier shouted from the front, "We're close to the East Amman Hospital, but the situation is bad. Very bad." The truck slowed down. They peeked outside. The hospital, once a safe place filled with hope, was now a burning battlefield. Ambulances were overturned, windows shattered, bodies lay in front of the emergency ward. Dark smoke curled into the sky. Lena covered her mouth. "Baba, oh God." The soldier braked hard and turned to them. "This is the closest I can take you. The rest, you're on your own." Faris nodded. "Thank you." The back door swung open and they ran into the smoky air. Searching for Dr. Kamal, gunshots echoed from the distance. A helicopter hovered above, firing into a mob of infected. "Stay close!" Faris yelled. They moved through the destroyed entrance. Inside the hospital lobby, fires burned through furniture and medical beds. The walls were splattered with dark stains. The hospital staff either lay motionless on the floor or had become one of the infected. Lena choked back tears. "I have to find him. Baba!" They heard banging, metal hitting metal from behind the hospital. "Lena, this way!" Faris said. They ran to the side entrance. Suddenly, the metal door burst open. Survivors poured out, coughing from the smoke, running for their lives. And in the middle of them, wearing a torn doctor's coat, covered in ash and blood, Dr. Kamal. "Baba!" Lena screamed. Dr. Kamal turned, eyes widening. He hugged her so tightly she could barely breathe. "Lena, oh my God, you're alive." He held Faris's shoulder next. "Thank you for keeping her safe." Faris nodded. "We're not safe yet, sir." Dr. Kamal's face darkened. "We have to leave the city. The infection, it's evolving." Inside the hospital, what he saw. They hurried toward a safer street while Dr. Kamal spoke quickly. "It started with burn victims from the meteor fragments," he said. "We tried treating them, cleaning wounds, giving injections, but—" His hands shook slightly. "They turned violent within minutes. Their blood turned black, their hearts stopped, but somehow they still moved." Lena listened in horror. "Is it a virus?" "No," Kamal answered firmly. "It's something far worse. We found microscopic parasites inside their blood, unlike anything on Earth." Faris felt chills crawl down his spine. "Parasites?" "Yes," Kamal said. Alien organisms, they attach to the nervous system, they control the host, and the infection is spreading faster than anything I've ever seen. He lowered his voice. It might already be airborne. Lena gasped. What? We need to reach the northern military base, Kamal said. It's the last safe zone. Through the war zone. They headed toward Jabal al-Hussein district, but the streets were packed with chaos. People were running everywhere. Cars crashed into each other trying to escape. Zombies leaped onto fleeing civilians, tearing them apart. A woman screamed as she ran past them, an infected creature chasing her. A soldier shot it down just in time. Don't stop, Kamal urged. They ducked into alleys, climbed over broken fences, and hid behind dumpsters as hordes of infected ran past. At one point they saw something terrifying. A group of infected were moving in a pattern, circling a group of survivors like wolves. Faris whispered, They're hunting. Kamal nodded with grim certainty. I told you, they're learning. A new group of survivors near an abandoned bakery. They met a small group of survivors, 4 men with knives, hammers, and pipes. Are you infected? One of them demanded, waving a kitchen knife. No, Faris said, raising his hands. We're heading to the military base. The leader of the group, a tall man named Zaid, nodded. We'll join you. Safety in numbers. Now they were 9 in total. Zaid handed Faris a metal pipe. You'll need this. Faris held it tightly. He never imagined he'd be fighting for his life with a pipe. A near-death encounter. As they moved through a narrow alley, Lena stopped suddenly. Wait, do you hear that? A faint clicking sound echoed from the walls. Slow, then faster. Click, 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 click. Kamal whispered. Everyone hide. They pressed against the wall. From the shadows, an infected creature crawled out, but this one was different. Its limbs were longer, its eyes glowed faintly, its jaw had split open like a flower of teeth. It moved with terrifying speed, sniffing the air. Lena's breathing quickened. Faris covered her mouth gently, terrified she would scream. The creature's head snapped toward them, silence. Then it screeched and lunged. Run! Zaid yelled. They bolted through the alley as the creature chased them on all fours. It leaped onto a wall, then onto a roof, moving above them like a shadow. Left! Go left! Kamal shouted. They turned sharply just as the creature pounced and crashed into a stack of garbage bins. Zaid stabbed it. Faris swung his pipe into its skull repeatedly until it stopped moving. They stood there, panting, covered in sweat. Kamal examined the creature. It's mutating faster than the human body should allow. Zaid wiped his forehead. Whatever came with that meteor, it's alive. Reaching the highway. The group finally reached the King Talal Highway, the road leading to the northern military base. But what they saw froze their hearts. The highway was filled with thousands of infected. They crawled over abandoned cars. They tore into the bodies of fallen soldiers. They wandered in huge herds like one giant organism. Zaid whispered, There's no way through that. But suddenly, a thunderous roar shook the road. A military helicopter descended, spraying bullets across the horde. Another helicopter followed. Then armored trucks accelerated down the highway. A soldier shouted through a megaphone, To all survivors, this is the last evacuation. Run to the trucks. Move. Faris grabbed Lena's hand tightly. Kamal, let's go. They sprinted toward the convoy. Zombies screamed and began charging. Soldiers fired, covering the survivors. A creature leaped at Faris. He ducked and slammed his pipe into its head. Another chased Lena. Zaid rammed it with a broken door frame. They kept running. The convoy was just meters away. Go! Go! The soldiers yelled. Faris, Lena, Kamal, and the survivors jumped onto a military truck. The door slammed shut. The truck accelerated forward, crushing creatures beneath its wheels. Lena collapsed, shaking. Kamal hugged her tightly. Faris sat in silence, staring at his trembling hands. Jordan City disappeared behind them in smoke and death. But their nightmare was only beginning. The military truck roared across the cracked asphalt, bouncing violently as it sped toward the northern border of Jordan City. Behind them, the once peaceful skyline was now nothing but smoke, flames, and the distant echoes of creatures shrieking under the night sky. Inside the truck, soldiers reloaded their rifles with trembling hands. Civilians huddled together, whispering prayers. Faris felt Lena leaning on his shoulder, exhausted. Dr. Kamal stared silently at the floor, his mind racing faster than the engine beneath them. One soldier looked back at them. You're safe now. The northern base is fully secured. He spoke with confidence, but his shaking voice told another story. Arrival at the base. As the convoy approached the military base, enormous floodlights illuminated the perimeter. Watchtowers stood tall, soldiers patrolling with heavy machine guns. Finally, a place that looked like safety. The convoy slowed and rolled through a massive steel gate. Survivors sighed with relief. "Thank God," Lena whispered. Inside the base, helicopters landed one after another. Medics rushed around, treating injured civilians. Generators hummed, powering the entire camp with bright lights. A commander stepped forward, saluting the arriving group. "I'm Commander Yusuf. You're safe now, for the moment." Faris didn't like the way he said "for the moment." Briefing inside the command center. The commander led them into a large briefing room filled with maps, screens, and scientists analyzing blood samples. Dr. Kamal approached the table. "You've studied the infected?" Commander Yusuf nodded grimly. "We've captured several. The parasites inside them. They're adapting." He signaled a soldier, who brought a tablet showing night vision footage. A restrained infected creature twisted violently against chains. Its skin shifted. Its bones cracked. Suddenly it grew extra jaw muscles, like it was evolving in real time. Lena covered her mouth. "Oh my God." Yusuf continued. "We believe these parasites came from the meteor fragments. They're not just killing humans. Their goal is to replace the dominant species." Kamal's face tightened. "How do they spread?" The commander hesitated. "We're not sure." A map appeared on the screen, Jordan City glowing red. The infection had spread to 90% of the city in less than 6 hours. Faris felt his stomach drop. "How is that even possible?" Yusuf answered. "Because the parasites communicate." Kamal's eyes widened. "Like a hive mind?" "Yes," Yusuf said, "and the entire city is now one giant organism controlled by something." Tashta, new threat identified. Then the commander showed a final piece of footage, recorded from a drone. In the center of Jordan City, near the meteor crater, something massive was forming, a pulsating, fleshy structure, like a heart the size of a building. Lena whispered, "Is that alive?" Kamal studied the footage carefully. "That's the source. The parasites are building a central intelligence. A queen." Suddenly alarms blared through the base. "Red alert! Perimeter breach! Infected approaching!" Soldiers ran outside, loading weapons, shouting orders. Commander Yusuf turned to the survivors. "Stay here. Whatever happens, don't leave this room." But Faris knew that orders meant nothing now. The attack on the base. The ground trembled. Boom, boom, boom. Faris ran to the window and froze. Thousands of infected creatures charged toward the base. Some ran on 2 legs, some on 4. Some crawled like spiders across the walls. Soldiers fired heavy machine guns. Bullets tore into the first wave, but the creatures didn't stop. They climbed the fences, tearing through steel with their mutated strength. Explosions lit up the night. The base shook violently as infected slammed into the barricades. The survivors in the briefing room panicked. "We need to move," Zaid shouted. Commander Yusuf burst back into the room. "Evacuate, the base won't hold." "But where do we go?" Faris yelled. "The mountains," Yusuf replied. "The infection hasn't reached the highlands yet." But then, a deafening crash shook the building. A giant mutated creature smashed through the outer wall, roaring like a tortured beast. Its torso was split open, exposing glowing veins. Its arms were double-jointed, moving unnaturally. "Run!" Faris shouted. Escape through the base. The monster lunged at them. Faris grabbed Lena's hand, pulling her out the door. The hallways were filled with chaos, soldiers firing, civilians running, sirens screaming. Kamal almost tripped, but Zaid caught his arm. "Come on, Doctor." They sprinted past destroyed rooms, overturned tables and burning computer screens. Another infected soldier jumped down from a vent, screeching. Faris swung his metal pipe, smashing its skull. Lena gasped. "Faris, you." He didn't answer. He just grabbed her hand again. They reached the courtyard, but it was worse than the hallways. Flames engulfed vehicles. Helicopters exploded one by one as infected creatures leaped onto them. A soldier waved them toward an armored truck. "Hurry, get inside." But before they reached it, a massive tentacle-like limb smashed down, flipping the truck into the air. The Queen's influence was here. The infection had evolved again. A desperate plan. Commander Yusuf regrouped with them behind a burning jeep. "We can't outrun them," he shouted. "We need to destroy the Queen." Kamal stared at him. "That thing in the city, it's impossible." Without destroying the source, Yusuf said, humanity dies tonight. Faris felt his heart pounding painfully. So what's the plan? Yusuf pointed to a small black case near the jeep. Inside was a compact nuclear explosive, a last resort device. Kamal's face went pale. That will wipe out half the city. And save the other half, Yusuf replied. Lena whispered, terrified, Who will take it there? The commander looked grim. A team needs to deliver it manually. The blast must happen right beside the Queen. Silence. Zaid stepped forward first. I'll go. Faris tightened his jaw. I'm coming too. Faris, Lena grabbed his arm. He looked into her eyes, soft, shaking, full of fear. I have to. If we don't stop this, no one survives. Zaid placed a hand on Faris's shoulder. We go together. The commander nodded. Move fast. The Queen is growing by the minute. Lena hugged Faris tightly, tears streaming down her cheeks. Come back, please. Faris whispered into her hair. I promise. Even though he wasn't sure he could. The beginning of the final mission. The base was collapsing around them, fires rising into the sky, screams echoing across the compound. Zaid grabbed the nuclear case. Faris armed himself with a rifle. Kamal placed a trembling hand on Faris's arm. Good luck, my son. Faris nodded. Then he and Zaid ran into the burning night. Toward the infected city, toward the Queen, toward the heart of the nightmare. Their mission had begun. The city was burning. Orange flames rose from shattered buildings, and black smoke spiraled into the sky like a warning to anyone still alive. Miles away, the sound of groaning zombies echoed, thousands of them drawn toward the city center where the last humans remained. Inside the abandoned King Abdullah Hospital, Sami, Layla, Malik, and Aisha barricaded the main door with metal beds. The power had failed hours ago. The only light came from flickering emergency lamps, casting long shadows on the walls. Aisha's voice trembled. They're everywhere. We can't hold them off. Sami clenched his jaw. We're not dying here. Not today. Layla unfolded a wrinkled blueprint she had taken from the hospital basement. Look, there's an old maintenance tunnel under the hospital. It leads directly to the Roman theatre, near the evacuation zone. Malik shook his head. Even if the tunnel is clear, the theatre is surrounded. I heard soldiers on the radio. Jordan City is minutes away from a full airstrike. Silence fell over them. The government was going to wipe out the entire infected zone. If they didn't escape now, they would die along with the city. The tunnel of the dead. They rushed to the basement. The stale smell of mold greeted them as they pried open a rusty hatch. A ladder led into darkness. Sami whispered, no turning back. One by one they climbed down. The tunnel was narrow, cold and lined with dripping pipes. Every sound echoed, each breath, each step, each heartbeat. Then Layla froze. From deep inside the tunnel came a low, hungry growl. Malik raised his flashlight. A cluster of glowing eyes stared back. Mutated tunnel zombies, faster, stronger, smarter. The creatures charged. Sami fired his rifle. Muzzles flashed. Bullets tore through the darkness. But more creatures crawled along the walls and ceiling like twisted spiders. Run, Layla screamed. They sprinted down the tunnel, water splashing under their feet. Malik swung a metal pipe, smashing a zombie skull. Aisha stabbed another with a broken scalpel. Sami tossed a grenade behind them. Boom! The tunnel shook. Dust rained from above. Screeches faded into silence. They kept running. The Roman theatre. At last, a blast of fresh air hit them. They burst out of an ancient stone doorway and found themselves inside the Roman theatre, bathed in moonlight. But hope vanished instantly. The evacuation helicopters were taking off. The last one hovered above the stage. Layla waved frantically. Wait! We're still here! The pilot shouted through a loudspeaker. We can't land! The Horde is coming! A rumble rolled across the ground. Sami turned and his heart dropped. Thousands of zombies were rushing into the theatre, flooding in from every entrance. Malik whispered, this is the end. But Sami wasn't ready to die. He spotted a fuel truck near the stage, left behind by soldiers. He turned to the others. Get to the helicopter rope. I'll slow them down. Layla grabbed his arm. Sami, no! He smiled sadly. Someone has to buy you time. Then he ran. The hero of Jordan City, Sami sprinted to the truck as the zombies swarmed around him. He climbed inside, smashed the ignition wires together, and the engine roared to life. The truck lurched forward, ploughing through the undead. Sami steered it straight toward the heart of the Horde. Malik, Layla, and Aisha climbed the helicopter rope as soldiers pulled them up. Below, Sami reached the center of the theater, surrounded by thousands of zombies clawing at the truck. He whispered, "For Jordan, for my people," and pressed the detonator. A massive explosion lit up the night. The shockwave shook the ancient stones. Zombies vaporized in a burst of fire. The Roman theater turned into a crater of burning dust. The helicopter lifted higher, the survivors watching with tears streaming down their faces. Layla cried into her hands. "He saved us. He saved everyone." Aftermath hours later, from the sky, Jordan City looked like a glowing ruin. Fires burned across neighborhoods. Smoke covered the horizon. But the outbreak was contained. Sami's sacrifice stopped the Horde long enough for the military to launch final strikes and reclaim the city. Malik placed a hand on Layla's shoulder. "He's a hero. The whole world will know his name." Aisha nodded, tears falling. A hero who didn't run, even when death was at his door. The helicopter flew toward the sunrise, carrying the last survivors of Jordan City. Behind them, the city mourned, but it also hoped. Because even in the darkest night, there are those who rise to become legends.